think we're live.
We're live. Great, we're live. All
Yeah.
right. All right. Let me start then. Hello, how's it going, everybody? My name is Adara, and welcome to the first ever episode of the L.A.I.N podcast. And with me, I have my co host, Proxan. Say hi.
Hello, everybody.
Hi. So, for our first episode, just to explain a little bit of our backgrounds, to introduce ourselves a bit. Like I said, my name is Adara, and I am a YouTuber. I've been doing YouTube for like seriously since 2017. I've been making. I started making videos that were gaming content, but then I moved to making theories, analysis, and critiques of all sorts of media. I do videos on movies, series, books, acting, YouTube, etc. And I recently also made an anime channel. So yeah, YouTube is my thing and stuff. And right, to give a bit of introduction, Proxan.
Yeah, I'm a digital artist. I've been drawing for quite a while. Like, I think it's about 10 years now. And I still have a long way to go. And yeah, I'm here to talk about stuff.
Yeah, no, good. So our podcast is called the Lame Podcast, and I'm going to explain this one time so that it's out there. So LANE is an acronym for Lame Art Interested Needs. So the A could stand for art or animation or anything that coincidentally is artistic that starts with an A, I suppose. And our podcast purpose is to discuss media, everything media related, in how do I say, everything media related that um, in an artistic point of view. For example, if we talk about a movie, we will be talking about the artistic parts of that movie, like what made it a good piece of art. Or we are going to touch on the aspects of humanity and how it impacted us. So, this is what the podcast is about for anyone wondering. So today's first episode is going to be uh, animation that inspired us or impacted us. That will be the name of the first episode. And we are going to start with our childhood, discussing stuff in our childhood, animation, which includes not only cartoons but animated films or video games or CGI, anything that impacted us. Um, we are going to be discussing. So to start off, do you want to go first, Favi? I mean, Proxan, or do you prefer that I go first?
Well, you can go first.
All right. Thank you, Quinta, for participating in the podcast. We really appreciate you being here. So, animation that inspired us or impacted us. I wanted to start off with my childhood, like I said. And as a kid, I basically grew up on television. I grew up watching cartoons. That was a big part of my childhood. And like sometimes it was like one of the only few companies that I had growing up as a kid. I used to watch everything from the generic shows that everybody knows to really, really niche anime. But I would like to focus on things that are more popular for this first episode. So I listed down, to me, like the first three shows that impacted me a lot when I was a child were Courage the Cowardly Dog, Dexter, and the Powerpuff Girls. These were the cartoons that I used to be really, really into from the age of being a toddler to about how I was like from toddler age to like 8 or 9 years old. And so, for those who don't know, Courage the Cowardly Dog is a cartoon about a dog who is a coward. But he gathers courage when it's important to save his owner Muriel. Muriel, she has a difficult name to say. Muriel or Eustace, her husband, he lives in the middle of nowhere. And it's basically an episodic cartoon where he has to face different kinds of monsters and creatures in the middle of nowhere. And it was a very creepy cartoon for children, right? It had a lot of like spider monsters and giant feet and chickens from outer space. It was a very creative show, but it was also very scary for children. But I feel like that aspect of fear is what, like, it was a very interesting introduction to fear to me as a child, because I feel like it was one of my first introductions to fear. Like, I was scared, but I wanted more. I always wanted to keep watching. I wanted to know what was next. Another cartoon that reminds me of that is Ren and Stimpy from Nickelodeon, which had really grotesque imagery. It was disgusting and disturbing at times. But even though I was scared and disturbed, I wanted to keep knowing what was going to happen. I wanted to keep seeing what was happening and what would happen next, which I found. Because I grew up with those parts of fear, with those scary things, I feel like as an older child or as an adult, I was able to adapt and even enjoy things that are creepy and scary. I didn't like horror movies, but I started. Like, I think I never liked horror movies. Like, I thought they were admittedly too much, but everything else that was creepy or disturbing, I was completely fascinated by it. It was like almost hypnotic to me. So, speaking of horror, Proxen, what are some things from your childhood that you were afraid of that impacted you? And what are your views on like horror and children's media, or just horror in general, like as an art form, as a artistic form?
Mm, let's say I'm not a big fan of horror, but like I think every child or cartoon or children movie that has like this little creepy scene that is like, I mean, for an adult or for grown up, not that creepy, right? It's just like this mood, this creepy mood, but for a child it can be very creepy, right? So in fact that I was like, for me, like that, I don't know, for example, uh, like Monsters Inc. That was really creepy. Like, I hated it to watch that shit. Um, yeah, but
Really?
like I don't know. I'm not into horror.
I see, I see. Really, that's really interesting. So you were scared of Monsters Inc. What about it scared you?
I don't know the monster in the closet.
Okay, but like you have to, you understand how
No,
little that narrows it
no,
down.
everything. No, not everything, but like basically that monsters can always enter your room.
Mhm.
That I don't know, that like you don't know like what's happening basically,
Mhm.
and especially like that salamander invisible guy that was
Randy,
super creepy.
that was Randy. Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of children were scared of Randy. He was supposed to be like. I found it interesting that Randy was like slender, right, and just a salamander, but somehow he was just so scary. At least to some children like you, right? So you're not the biggest fan of horror.
No, but it's fascinating sometimes.
All right, then what kind of horror would you consider fascinating?
For example, I was really interested in, like, I hate horror movies, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
if I haven't said so. Um, for example, I was really interested in the movie Crimson Peak.
Crimson Peak. Mm.
Um, it's this horror movie about like this haunted. Um,
Haunted.
one moment, I can hear the history. Hmm, that's weird. What
I
about
can hear.
now?
Did I mute it? Yes, it's
Yes,
muted on my
yes.
laptop. Is it better now?
Hmm.
Hopefully.
Anyway,
All right.
so it's about this haunted mansion, and this guy who owns it, right? And he finds a lady and wants the lady to live there with him, right?
Wait. Was that the movie we watched?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And like it was a very creepy movie, but I was like fascinated by the fact that like how they did the special effects on the ghosts, like because it wasn't like CGI, it was mostly how to say, like practical effects, like costumes and stuff like that combined with CGI, and I think that's impressive, and that's why I uh, watched that movie actually.
Mm. Yeah, I remember that movie. Now that we watched it together. Um, when you were talking about scary movies that you actually liked, I thought that you were going to mention Get Out.
Oh yeah, I really like Get Out.
Yeah. And so, what do you think is interesting about it?
It's interesting about it that um, the fact that the guy, like, like something is happening, but you don't know what, and it's the same for the character. Like the character is trying to find out what it is, and it's like this hunt for clues and trying to find out what's happening, and I don't know. It's like I found it interesting because it had like this creepy aspect, but it wasn't like nothing supernatural. It was like basically only creepy people,
Mm-hmm.
and I really enjoyed that movie.
That's interesting, I think, that you found that Get Out is not scary that much because I am the total opposite. I am the kind of person that finds terrifying the kind of horror that uses human beings as the villain, uses human beings as the monster, because that could happen to you. That's something that happens. That can happen. You actually, it's easier to like put yourself in the main character's shoes because I don't know, when you watch something like the Slender Man movie, which you personally, I know you find it terrifying, you think it's creepy. Uh, like when I watch something like that, I laugh at the effects. I laugh at how stupid, because I think it's all stupid, because it's not real. I don't see it as real. Uh, Quinta, fold? What do you say?
I don't know. I don't get it.
All right. Hopefully, the audio is not painful for you, Quinta. I really hope that's not bothering you. Do tell us like if the audio is Gucci or if you want us to put it louder or like a lower volume. Anyway, what was I talking about? I was talking about, yeah, how horror is more terrifying when it's human beings, because that can happen instead of like monsters like Slenderman or I don't know, ghouls and vampires and all that kind of stuff, because it's not real. Ghosts aren't real. I mean, I guess ghosts are debatable to be real, aliens as well, but things like zombies and vampires and that kind of stuff isn't real. Or like, sure, there are serial murders. There are horror movies with serial murders like Freddy Krueger, but Freddy Krueger like is completely fictional, right? He's someone that goes in your dreams, and that's not real. So I don't get scared about the thing. But humans, to me, human beings are terrifying because human beings are, they can be capable of so much, you know. But going back to childhood, is there anything from your childhood that you thought was scary yet fascinating? I think you did mention one thing to me before, but I forgot what it was.
Mm, hmm. Let me think. Scary but fascinating.
Conan? Was it Conan?
Oh yeah, Conan. The I don't know, detective kid
Yeah,
thingamajig
Detective
anime.
Conan. So Detective Conan, for those who don't know, is a anime that's even more long running than One Piece. It's a episodic anime about this detective kid. Basically, that's all I know about it. But what was scary about it?
Um, I don't know. It was like just a disturbing imagery that sometimes occurred, or like how the like what happened basically, what the the murderer, like what they did, like it was like some gruesome shit. And I, I don't know, it was like scary for me as a child, because I don't know, like I was scared of those situations. I mean, still am, but
Mhm.
like not in that sense. If I watch it, I'm scared. But as a child, it was scary and spooky, but also very interesting to see how they would solve the case.
Was there gore in
Oh
Conan?
yeah,
There was a lot of gore,
a
really.
lot.
Really?
Yeah,
Just
like
by
chopped off
looks.
heads and stuff like that.
Damn. Damn, just by yeah, Conan is scary, I agree. Very nice. No, like when I was a kid, like no, I never watched Detective Conan, but just by looks alone, I never thought that it looked scary. I mean, I did watch this anime as a child when I was younger called Ghost Super Mikami, but that's like a really niche show, and it was about hunting like ghouls and monsters and any kind of like yokai, right? And yes, it was gruesome, but even that to me was like, I don't know, I wasn't scared. But you know, everybody is different, right? But even though it was gruesome, were you still entertained? Were you still fascinated?
Yeah, yeah,
Or
it was like scary, but then also like so fascinating that I couldn't stop watch it, and it was like always like, oh shit, Conan is on television, let's watch it, and yeah,
I see, I see.
was addictive.
Addictive. Yeah, I would call it like horror. Horror can be very addictive. It's like, I feel like it's like a rush of adrenaline, right? You feel that fear, but it's adrenaline, so it's like it gives you a lot of energy. It's like, more, more, I want more scary stuff. That was for me, like Courage the Cowardly Dog and Ren and Stimpy when I was growing up. Moving away from horror, other uh, cartoons that I watched as a child. I watched a lot of Dexter and Powerpuff Girls when I was a kid. Dexter was actually my first like childhood crush. I thought that he was very cute. I even had like a little Dexter action figure that I used to kiss. Because I was just so enamored with Dexter. Like it was like my first crush basically. And my brother used to make fun of me a lot. I still have that action figure, still have that toy. I it's in Brazil. It's not with me right now, but I still have it. I still cherish it, and I also have the three Powerpuff Girls dolls because that was also a big part of my childhood. It was one of the first shows that I watched that showed me that girls could be cute, but they could also kick butt. And I didn't grow up with Sailor Moon. I grew up with the Powerpuff Girls, so to me that was like impactful. And it was a show that not only broke gender norms in that sense of girls can kick ass, but Buttercup, I thought that Buttercup was a boy. And in a way, I identified with Buttercup in that sense, right? I thought that Buttercup was a boy, and I identified with Buttercup. I thought that I was Buttercup when I was younger. It's like, I'm like, oh, I'm just like Buttercup. Like, I'm a dude, I'm a boy who kicks butt. Like even as a small child, I thought that gender had nothing to do with what's in your pants. I thought that gender was what you identified with the norms that, um, like it was nothing that, it was like something that you identified with. Like it wasn't just based on your what's on your pants, which I thought was like interesting. I never thought that the world because I never thought that the world would be what it is today, right? With the whole transsexuality stuff, I didn't even know that that was a thing. But yeah, I always thought that was interesting. What about you, Parksan? What cartoons impacted you a lot as a child?
I mean, impacted is like not very accurate, but like I watched all kinds of shit, like all kinds of. Basically, we turned on the TV, and I don't know what was running was running.
Mhm.
Like we kind of knew when, like around which time certain shows will be shown on TV,
Mhm.
on free TV, and then we tried to catch it or not. Like since our household were really strict about watching television and this kind of stuff. So, but definitely I would say Pokemon.
Well, Pokemon was good.
Yeah, Pokemon. Not like a big one. Like we used to like I don't know, like play with trading cards, which is like coming up right now. It's trending right now. Uh, like the little Pokemon stickers and like this book where you glue them in, and like all kinds, like Pokemon was the shit basically.
Mhm.
And obviously Dragon Ball as well.
Mhm.
Dragon Ball Z.
You're actually a big fan of Dragon Ball, right?
Yeah, I am, but I still haven't finished watching Dragon Ball Super. But
Has
I
anyone
really
really ever finished watching Dragon Ball? Like, I can't see that because there's so many episodes.
less than One Piece.
Touche, dude, touche. But I don't know. To me, Dragon Ball, I used to watch a little bit of Dragon Ball when I was younger. And to me, Dragon Ball was always that cartoon that you watched like episodes of, but not dedicated, like not religiously. Like you don't watch like every episode of Dragon Ball because I don't know. Like to me, it was a lot of the same shit. Same thing with Pokemon, right? It's like a lot of fighting. Pokemon's like episodic. I mean, there was a narrative in Dragon Ball, but because there were so many episodes, like I couldn't follow the narrative, so I got kind of bored with it. But yeah, like Dragon Ball was really nice.
Yeah, but like if I think about it, if it would combine like Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Super episodes together, it would have more than One Piece.
True, true, true.
But
That's true.
like obviously there's like I think I don't Dragon Ball Kai and like all kinds of variations. I think.
Alternative universes,
Yeah,
maybe?
exactly. But they don't play like in the main timeline, so it's like uninteresting for me.
I see.
So I like the main timeline.
I see, I see. Yeah. Sometimes, like, those things that are, like, different universes or whatever are not as interesting. But what about Dragon Ball was special to you?
Um, I don't know. I think it was firstly it was like uh completely. I think it was one of the first animes that I saw. It was like this completely different kind of animation style, I would say. Like all the other cartoons had like this very stylized art, and let's say the characters had like those shapes, like were like like triangular heads, or like very round characters, or with a lot of edges.
Mm-hmm.
uh, I don't know, like, and Dragon Ball had this like realism to it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that abstract.
Mm-hmm.
So
They looked like people.
exactly, and that was like immediately more interesting. And I think also the fact of that they were like fighting, and like I don't know, grabbing power out of nowhere and screaming,
Mm-hmm.
like the boyish stuff.
Yeah, boys be boys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is
Guys
that?
being boys, no.
Yeah, men being boys is like you, I don't know, you as a child, like that fills you up with dopamine, right? That fills you up with adrenaline, seeing fights and action
Yeah,
and
it was this like it was animation, but also like you had like this more adult themes. Like it wasn't like, oh, children behave, or like what's the what's what do you want to say with that story, like in a sense of like, oh, stealing is bad or something like that.
Mhm.
But it was like actual fighting, and I don't know, it was like this hidden because like parents are often like, oh, you're not allowed to watch this because it's violent, like I don't know, like action movies, stuff like that. And with Dragon Ball, it was like animation, so it wasn't that violent, but also it was. So uh,
A
I
fine
don't.
line.
Yeah, it was like this, like hidden basically. Like
Mhm.
parents were like, "Oh yeah, that's fine. You can watch that. It's animation."
Mhm.
But
It's
yeah,
like when mom and dad are in the room, like Goku and Vegeta are just chatting about shit, and then when they leave the room, they start fighting each other, something like that, right?
yeah, and like what else? Mm, yeah, I can't think of anything right now.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that's a good way to see Dragon Ball because I never thought about it that way. Like, it could be a child's first introduction to an animation design, character design that's different, right? I never thought of it that way. It's not just the style of like animation. Well, it's not just the style of story. It's also the style of animation and aesthetic and all that stuff, which it's pretty cool. I think. As an older child, like I also watched. Moving on to around when I was an older kid, but still a kid, I used to watch a lot more cartoons. Right, I always watched every cartoon that was popular around that time, from Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. Um, a lot of stuff. And when I was 9, I think, or 10, I saw a cartoon that impacted my life, completely changed my life. And to me, that cartoon was Danny Phantom, which is not a cartoon that's very remembered right now these days, but to me, it will always have a very special place in my heart. It still does, always will. I even have a Danny Phantom tattoo. And Danny Phantom was a cartoon about this ghost boy, this 14-year-old boy who was half ghost. He turned into a half ghost because he went inside his parents' portal because his parents are ghost hunters. So they invent all sorts of ghost hunting technology, and he turns to a half ghost and basically becomes a ghost hunter. And he's a superhero basically. And to me, Danny Phantom was a character that was important to me because to me he was like a friend. He was like he taught me that it's okay to be who you are and you should not be afraid of who you are, and especially if you're nerdy, if you're an outsider, if you're like an alien to your school. Because at that time I was bullied a lot, right? I was, what, 5 years younger than Danny, but I was still bullied a lot in school. I was always like bullied just like he was. I was always the loser, the alien, the outsider, the freak. And seeing a cartoon character be in that same position that I was at school, and like being happy with who he was regardless of the bullying, always being himself no matter what. I mean, sure, he had episodes where he sold out in the sense that he wanted to be popular, right? But he learned from that. He learned that popularity is like temporary, but your real friends will always be there for you. And I learned just so much from that. And seeing him like rescue people and always save the day and not ask anything for it, like just keep it a secret from the world. To me, that like he worked for the good. Like he didn't work for prizes or glory. He did what he did because it was the right thing to do. And I love that. It really inspired me as a kid, and it made me feel like I wasn't so alone. Have you ever had any characters in your childhood like that? Anyone that you looked up to?
Hmm. Uh,
Like childhood, like
actually,
from like the ages of like 9 to like 14, like when you were a preteen to young teenager.
not really.
Not even.
I
It doesn't have
mean,
to be like.
earlier maybe like for example Goku from Dragon Ball, because he was like um, always seeing like the best in the person, always seeing um, like giving people a chance, and being curious, like a little bit like what's his name, Gon from Hunter x Hunter.
Oh yeah, I love Gone.
Um, I don't know, like that inspired me. In a sense, like I looked up to them.
Do you have any characters today that you look up to
Um,
that inspire you maybe to be a better
mm,
person or just taught you something that give you a different perspective in life?
mm, Not really.
It doesn't have to
I
be
mean,
from a cartoon. It could be anything that's animated. So anything with sci-fi. I mean, sorry, not special effects because that's a like a kind of animation. It can be fuck anime. It could be movies, animated movies. It could be video games, video game characters as well. That counts.
so now I can't think of anything right now.
All right, all right. Moving on a bit. Let's move on to video games. Um, so I used to play a lot of video games when I was younger. Like the PlayStation 2 was my holy bible. Like it was my main console, was my first ever console. It was one of the few consoles that I've ever owned was the PlayStation 2. For a really long time, I think the PlayStation 2 was the most sold console in the world, I think, right? I don't know if there's a console that stole that title, but I'm pretty sure it's at least number 2 most sold console in the world. And in Latino America, everybody, every kid who was cool had a PlayStation 2. And it was a console that every kid would be able to afford, right? Uh, but after the PlayStation 2, like consoles started to become really expensive and kids were not able to afford them anymore. But every kid had a PlayStation 2. It was the affordable console. So I used to play video games religiously on the PlayStation 2. I used to play so many video games. But all of the games that I played were solo games, so much that online games like, I don't know, Dota or Overwatch or Fortnite or whatever the fuck people can play these days, like none of that appeals to me because I was always a solo player. I was always solo playing video games alone. And the kind of games that I played were like third person, those third person games with characters that you had to walk around and attack enemies and shit like that, right? And a lot of the games that I played were games that you had, they were based on already established things. For example, there are a lot of video games for the PlayStation 2 that were SpongeBob video games. There was a video game that I really, really loved when I was younger called Nicktoons Unite, which was like my wet dream because it was Danny Phantom, SpongeBob, Timmy Turner, and Jimmy Neutron together. And together they had to fight enemies and defeat enemies and like there was like the storyline and like it was my wet dream because it was the four most popular franchises from Nickelodeon at that time. Jimmy Neutron died off, Danny Phantom died off, but like SpongeBob, like the Fairly Odd Parents, thank God, eventually died on, right? But yeah, SpongeBob is still holding strong right now. Strong in parentheses because God knows that fucking SpongeBob sucks dick today. Um, so I got lost my thought. But anyways,
What doesn't that clashes too much? What?
doesn't that clash too much? What doesn't
I
clash?
don't
What
know.
what clashes too much?
Can't ask that.
Oh, it's animation. It's far stretched as a critic point to allow children to see certain stuff. I see. Danny, Jimmy, and so on. Like too many characters. No, it doesn't clash because this game was so you played like the game. You had the four characters right in the game, but you can switch with whatever character you wanted to play with. For example, if you want to play the whole game as Danny Phantom, you could. And Loki did that because I wanted to be Danny so bad as a kid, right? So, but unfortunately, not 100% of the game you can play with one character because there are phases and there are levels and like parts of the game that you can only pass with certain characters. For example, every character had like a special ability, like power ups, right? For example, Timmy Turner, he could make ice, right? And if there was a level that you needed to transform water into ice so you can climb over the ice and go somewhere, then you had to play as Timmy Turner. Or SpongeBob, he had this ability to, because you went to all four worlds, right? You went first, it was Danny Phantom universe, then it was SpongeBob universe, then it was Timmy Turner universe, and it ended with Jimmy Neutron universe. But with Danny Phantom, no, with in the SpongeBob universe, there are these levels where you have to jump on these jellyfish, right? So you can only jump on the jellyfish if SpongeBob would suck up water and throw and spit out water on top of the jellyfish, so they would go down and not be like stingy. So it worked really, really well. It was really, really good, the game design. And it wasn't the only game that did that. There was another one called Battle for Volcano Island, which it was like a sequel. It's like spiritual sequel, which I think was even better because you didn't have only these four characters. You could also play as Sandy from SpongeBob. You could play as Sam from Danny Phantom. You could play as who else? Patrick from SpongeBob, and a bunch of other characters as well, which I think is pretty interesting. So you could play as these other characters from but like every character, every level has four characters, and there were only four for every level, and you couldn't choose, right? There was like an established level with the established characters, but it was fun. It was very enjoyable to play with the other characters as well, so very, very fun. I also used to play. Let me take a little break. Like Fabio, you name now a game that you used to play when you were younger. Like what was the shit
Oh
for
yeah,
you? Did you have a
like
PlayStation 2?
no,
Aw.
like back in the day, like for example, the Settlers.
Mhm.
That's like a strategic game. How do you call it? Like fuck, I can't recall what's called the game genre. Yeah, but basically you had like this playing settlers. You would like claim land. You would build like your. It's like Age of Empires and like all this kind of games where you like build your city, your army, and then you go take you go try to attack your neighbors and
Oh,
try
jeez.
to eradicate them from the map. Um, yeah, I don't know, like that was the shit. Like I really liked that game, but I mean, there's not much to it. It was just like nice to see like those little sprites, those little animations on what did we play it on? I think Windows uh, 98 or something like that. Like that's some old shit.
Dude, you were a PC gamer before PC gaming was a
Yes.
thing. You are the real OG.
Yeah, I think like the first games we were like playing were like on a laptop. It had like a black and yeah, it was black and white basically the screen. Or let's say it was like olive green and black,
Mhm.
and I think the game was called Sokoban, and it's like this guy who has to push crates in a certain way to solve the level, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, um, let me think. What the yeah. Besides that, we like I really love to play Spyro on the PlayStation One. Like, I think I played the first three. I think
Mhm.
there are more out now, but
Mhm.
I love to play Spyro,
Mhm.
and but I hated Rayman. Like fuck this game. It was way too hard.
I guess we have to battle to the death then, Fabi. Because if you're a Spyro fan, I'm a Crash Bandicoot girl, dude. Crash was the shit, dude. That was the shit.
Ah, yeah, I didn't like Crash.
How dare you? Well, I didn't like Spyro. Spyro fucking sucked. It was way too difficult, dude.
No, Spyro was easy. Spyro was easy compared to Um, no, not compared to, but I don't know. I just didn't like Crash. I think Crash was also like on.
PlayStation 1.
Was it on PlayStation One?
Yes.
I thought it was only on Nintendo.
N- uh, dude, Spyro is not a. I mean,
No,
Crash is not a Nintendo property.
I don't know.
Well, now you know. No, Crash is not a Nintendo property. It's a it's a property for fuck. It's a I had a brain fart right now. It's a PlayStation. It's a Naughty Dog. It's owned by Naughty Dog. It's always been owned by Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog. So it is a property of PlayStation. That's like basically Crash Bandicoot was created to be PlayStation's mascot, just like in Nintendo. One of Nintendo's first games was Super Mario, right? And Super Mario became the mascot for Nintendo. And there was also Sega. Sega came around and they were like, "Oh fuck, we have to create a mascot for our company," and that's why they created Sonic the Hedgehog. And then PlayStation came around later. It's like, "Oh fuck, we need a mascot as well. All right, we're gonna create this little crazy bandicoot that goes around collecting fruit and wears this fucking mask and becomes invincible and has to beat bad guys," and that's how Crash was born.
Mm.
So yeah, Crash is like just like Crash is just like Spyro is an PlayStation company. Just like Spyro is a PlayStation owned game, so is Crash, and Crash became the PlayStation like Naughty Dog mascot, which I think is actually interesting because Spyro could have been like a good mascot as well for PlayStation, but I'm pretty happy that it's Crash and not Spyro since I don't know, dude. To me, it was difficult. Spyro, like I remember trying to beat Spyro as a child, right? I was trying to beat the game, and I couldn't. I think I traded my copy of Spyro for from another video game that I had, which was like Wallace and Gromit, right? Which is these clay animation cartoons, which again goes back to the theme of I used to play a lot of games that were based on established properties, and I was obsessed with Wallace and Gromit when I was younger, which is this clay animation films from Aardman Studios, and they surprisingly had really, really high quality games for the PlayStation 2. They had two games. One was called Project Zoo, and the other one was called Curse of the Were Rabbit, which was based on the movie. And the games, dude, the games were very, very long, and they were very, very high quality. Difficult, but I could manage, right? Because that game, you didn't have to conclude every single level, right? It was a game that you could just play enough levels to move on, right? You didn't have to conclude everything. In Spyro, I think you had to conclude a lot to move on, and I don't know, something about Spyro was difficult to me. Like I didn't know what to do, so
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It was like a bit confusing. You needed to collect a certain amount of like gems, or like a certain amount of eggs, or like free a certain amount of dragons to. But I think even Mario had that. Like you had to also like have certain amount of stars or a certain amount of something to unlock new levels or to move forward in the story. I agree that like the bosses were really difficult as a child. I think from the first game I never I never beat the end boss. I think Nasty Gnork or something like that was his name. Like there was that's the thing with those old games. There is no, or there was no uh, um, how do you say, like explanation how to fight that boss, basically, how the mechanics works, and yeah, as a child very difficult. So
I think it's crazy, right? The fact that these games were so freaking hard when you were a kid, but then if you ever replay them as an adult, you're like, the fuck? This was hard? It's so easy. Why did I struggle so much? And that happened a lot to me because like The Wallace and Gromit games, like the Project Zoo, to me was very very difficult, and that's why I gave it away. I finally finished it with help from my brother and my friend, and when I finished it, I'm like, oh, I don't want to ever play this game again. But when I got older, that was like one of the biggest regrets of my life, because as I got older, I was like, fuck, I want to play that game again so bad, and it was super rare. It was a super rare game. You couldn't find it anywhere. Super, super, super rare PlayStation 2 game. And unfortunately, I never played it again. And out of nostalgia, I think 2 years ago, maybe, or 3 years ago, I looked for the gameplay on YouTube just for fun, just to relive that in a way. And I was like, oh, I remember this, I remember that. And as I was watching the gameplay, I was like, was it always this easy? This looks so easy. Like the person did basically a speed run, the perfect speed run, right? But it was still like, this was that easy? Like I remember this being a nightmare. I couldn't figure it out for the life of me. It was impossible for me. And I don't know.
I had a similar experience. Like, well, my first experience with speedrun was basically me playing Dark Souls 2, and yeah, I think I took like 3 hours or something to reach, 3 or 4 hours to reach the first boss, and well, to beat the first boss. Like I was like, whew, that was hard, that was like difficult. And yeah, and I think like a day later I saw like someone speedrunning the first boss, and basically the mechanic was like you like wait until he went like goes a certain amount of steps towards you, and then he it triggers an like he attacks you, right? And then you just dodge the attack, and he will fall off the map, and you beat the boss. And it's like nothing, like a couple of seconds. And I was like, oh, okay, wasn't worth it, like to put that much time. But it's, I think with every Souls game out there, like you yourself take a lot of time to beat the game. I mean, obviously you are enjoying the game. You're looking at the nice sceneries and level and like all the art in there, right? And you're not rushing it, so it's fine, I guess, to take time. But it's also kind of depressing to see like how people clear that game in not even an hour.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is like that. Like you try so hard to figure something out, and then especially in puzzle games, I feel like that happens a lot, right? That happens a lot in puzzle games too. Like you're like, oh, how the fuck do I do this shit? How the fuck did? And then like back in the day, we couldn't just go to YouTube or go to Google, right, and be like, how the fuck, dude? How do I do this? You couldn't do that, right?
No.
But like, so that it was the worst when you were a kid because you can't look it up, right? But like even like today, when you look it up and you see how to do the thing, and you're like, really? Like you have either two reactions. Either you say, are you fucking kidding me? Was that easy all this time? Or are you fucking kidding me? That's bullshit. That's so complicated. Why you gotta make it so difficult? It's so retarded. I think we all have like that reaction, like it's either one or the other. But moving on, more games that I used to play in my childhood. There was this franchise that I really really liked. That was the first time that I became mesmerized by video game animation, right? Video game design, video game animation, and that was for a game called the Tasmanian Tiger. There's also this other game called, if anybody remembers, Barnyard. It's like a movie from Nickelodeon, right? It's a Nickelodeon movie that came out. It was a 3D movie. If you think about a cow with boobs, like a male cow with boobs, do you know what that is? Like, have you ever heard of Barnyard? Maybe you've seen. No? So it was like a movie, and the main protagonist was named Otis, and he was a male cow that had boobs. They had like the cow udders, right? But he was a male cow. And it's like, I always found that so fucking confusing, because a child is learning about the world, and they're like, ox is male cow, female cow is female cow, right? And then You see a fucking movie with a male cow with boobies, and you're like, what is this monstrosity? This isn't this isn't normal. How does that work? What is biology? And you start questioning everything that you've learned up until that point. But but God no. But other than that, I thought that the game, I wasn't that big of a fan of the movie. I liked the movie fine, but I really, 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 really loved the game because I think it was one of the first open world games that I played, right?
Mm.
Open world in the other game that I mentioned was Tada Tasmanian Tiger. These two were the first games that were open world that I played, right?
Yeah.
So the cow game is like the barnyard game is like you live your day-to-day life, right? You make your own cow and you live your day-to-day life. There is a plot, there is a story, right? But you can also just spend weeks doing whatever the fuck you want. Like you do whatever mission you want, whenever you want. And the cool, like I've never seen this concept in a game before. What I thought was cool about it was day and night ran in real life, in real time. And it was the first experience, it was the first time that I had that experience. Like, but instead of an hour being an hour, it was more like 1 minute equaled 1 hour in the game, right? So 2 o'clock, if 1 minute passed real time, it was 3 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So you had basically 12 minutes to do daytime activities and 12 minutes to do nighttime activities, right? And I've never before that seen that before, and I thought that was like the most brilliant shit I've ever seen in my life. You know, for a child, like that's like some cool shit. I've never seen that in a game before because back then it's like in my games it's like there was always a narrative, right? Or at least there was always like it was either always daytime, always. Most of the time it was daytime, right? But like a game that you could play at night and like you like one of my favorite things to do sometimes just to fucking vibe in the game. There was like a place that you could go up on a mountain and you can see the sunset, dude. And that moment to me was so immersive. I felt so immersed in that game. Like seeing the sun go down and then the moon go up, and I was like, dude, this is the greatest thing ever. I don't
Almost like in real life, man.
Yeah, it felt real to me, right? I felt immersed. And have you ever played a game like that?
Yeah.
What was it?
World of Warcraft.
All right. All right. Mr. Proxen, talk about your journey of World of Warcraft. Tell the lovely folks watching at home or listening about the wondrous world of Warcraft.
So once upon a time, there was this game. Oh, there is this game. It's shit now, but back in the day, everything was better. No, not necessarily, but
in a world where World of Warcraft was the shit.
Yeah. Now, like I started playing World of Warcraft at a fairly young age, and I kept playing it for too long. I'd say.
Too long. Just a little.
Just a little.
Just a little.
I don't even know, like a couple of years, like, like I don't know, like 10 years.
10 years.
Or maybe longer, 15 years. How old is the game? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it came out in 2004, so.
Oh no.
It's old. No, but I think I mainly played. Like I started around Classic, end of Classic, and played a lot. Burning Crusade. And it's the Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King that were like the expansions that I was the most active in that game, and I mean it went downhill from there. But I mean the experience, the journey, was like great. Like very immersive game. I would say nice community, but not always. Like obviously like hanging out with people and doing stuff together with them, like clearing dungeons and raiding and all that, questing, leveling was super fun, and well, basically exploring the world and the music in the background, like the soundtrack is great, and um, like they always knew how to hype up the fans. Like Blizzard always knew.
But then Blizzard betrayed you.
Yes, then the Fire Nation attack.
The Fire Nation. And like, what were the things that made you love World of Warcraft the most? Like, what did it make you feel? Like when you first discovered World of Warcraft? Where are the emotions that it made you feel at that time?
I don't know. Like it was like, oh, I can't believe like there is like such a game out there, like with those like those graphics and or almost no loading screens, and you can run around wherever you want. It's like a world, right? It's like a medieval fantasy world. And that was like the greatest shit as a kid for me, because I was like a big Lord of the Rings fan. I still am. And yeah, it was like very fascinating and like the greatest thing ever. So I would say I was immediately addicted. And I don't know, I was like super immersive for a kid. Like it's like this. I don't know, like typical scenes that a lot of players share. I think it's like, for example, walking in the night in wood. What's not wood? Forest of L.A.I.N. The music playing and the soundtrack playing, or for example, entering the first time Stormwind when the music starts to play. That's like some goosebumps moment.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. I think you said like, oh my god, these graphics are amazing, right? I don't know. I
Yeah,
think
exactly.
it's yeah.
Fishing at 4 a.m.
What was like?
No, yeah, I don't know, like, because for example there was like this like a certain fish that would sell in the auction house very high, right? And the fishing spots were always like
Full at 4.
full. Like people would fish the shit out of those fish, and like at 4 a.m. there was nobody, and so you would do that, or like you finished everything what you wanted to do in the World of Warcraft, but there's unlimited opportunities to do everything, right? And it's like 4 a.m. and you're like, oh, what can I do? I need to keep playing. Oh, I think I'm gonna start fishing.
I see. Now, in my case, if a game doesn't have a kind of end goal, it doesn't matter. The game can take like 50 years. Like the game, like you can have to spend like, I don't know, 50 hours to finish a game. That's fine, but I need an end goal. I need that end goal, because that's why I don't like games like Minecraft or like, you know, WoW or LOL. Because I just think of it like it never ends, you know.
Yeah, but it's like, it's not about like finding the end of the game. It's more about
The journey.
fun with friends. Exactly, be creative, like hang out with people and like enjoy your time and mess around, basically.
I mean, maybe I would play World of Warcraft like to hang out with friends, but like to vibe with friends. I think that would,
to role play.
Or to role play. I think that would be fun, but I don't think I would go to World of Warcraft by myself. You know, like I don't think I could.
Yeah,
I would
like,
find it enjoyable. It's like, oh, I have to do my daily missions, right? And then it's like, no, I have to do more missions and more missions and more missions, and like it doesn't end. And it's like I would feel like
I mean, there are a lot of people who started out alone playing World of Warcraft, right? But there's like, it's like a MMO, so there are like a lot of people playing it and guilds, and for certain quests and activities, you are like forced to group up with other people, and now and then you make friends and you play together with them. So I mean, it's obviously harder to start out alone, but like if you have friends who are already playing the game or are planning to start playing the game with you, that's like completely different. But also I feel like it's harder to accept new people into your friends basically if you're already a group. Like if you're a group and you join a guild, you will probably still talk to your people, right? Instead of new people. So like if you play alone, the chances that you get to know other people are much higher.
It's like fucking what's the name of that movie? Like Mean Girls, like you can't sit with us. I mean, I guess you can, but you can't sit with us. Like we're not going to accept you, you peasant, gooey, you stinky, because you're new. And we don't want to bother talking to you. We're antisocial nerds here, dude. Like, come on, go away. I feel like at least it's like sometimes it's a hierarchy that happens a lot, right, in video games. I've always so been scared of that rejection when playing MMOs, like, and that's one of the reasons why I don't play them. Or I've always been scared of like going in a game, right, and I want to try an MMO, and people are like 5 billion times better than me, right?
Yeah, but
There's always gonna be that person, obviously, but the MMOs that I have played, they're not cooperative. They're against people. I
it's
don't.
also fun.
Yeah, but like when I play against people, I feel like crap because I always get my ass kicked, right? And to me, there's nothing fun about getting your ass kicked.
Yeah, because it's about kicking ass.
Yeah, but it's like, but it's like I'm a fucking peasant and level 1 noob, and I get paired up with this level 100 mafia boss, and the mafia boss kicks my ass. It's not fun, dude. And it's like not being paired up only once. You get paired up all the fucking time with the fucking mafia bosses, and you're like, dude, can I get someone from my level, or like, can I get someone to talk to that we can grow together, or some shit like that, you know?
Yeah.
And I guess that's why I never been much of a MMO person. Anyways, so Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. I just want to talk about that real quick. Ty is a game trilogy that was created by PlayStation for PlayStation. It's a Australian company that created these games. They actually made a fourth game, but the fourth game is more like a bonus game. It's not as high quality as the first three games, right? It's more of like a 2D platformer. The second game, um, but it was created by I think Namkai, something like that. It was like an Australian company that made this game, and my God, Thai. For me as a child, was the game with the best graphics that I've ever seen in my life. It was like one of the best graphics I've seen in my life. Uh, like right now, you look at the game as like shit, right? But back then, those graphics were like so good, especially the world building, the sky, the environments, the cities. Not so much the character models. The character models like were just a little bit better than, for example, models from PlayStation 2 Spyro, for example. But the world building was so fucking good. I started playing Spyro with the second game, right? And it was basically open world. You had missions, right, that you can do, and you have to eventually complete a certain amount of missions before you can move on with the story. But you can just vibe in the game as well. You can explore and drive around and go to the beach and then go to the jungle tree. You can go to where the fuck else? You can go to the swamps or wherever the fuck you wanted to go. You could go just to vibe, and it was worth it because the world was so beautiful, so full of things for you to discover. I love that game so much. And there were like these special levels as well. Like there were like little chapters in the game, right? Like every chapter had one big level where the world was like enormous, right? So there was like a lot to do in this it was big worlds. Like you could do a lot of these big worlds, and I really, really, really liked those. Right, but there were also like tiny levels, which was like I don't know, drive around in a helicopter and drop a bomb. Like drop some dynamite in a specific place that needs to be exploded, or else the dynamite is gonna explode and you're gonna die. I don't know. That was some good shit as well. I really like that game. But moving on from games, unless there are other games that you would like to talk about, Proxan. Are there any other games?
The Elder Scrolls.
Elder Scrolls. All right.
Like when, I mean, I started playing them like not from the beginning. So I haven't played Morrowind. First game I played was like Oblivion. And yeah, what can I say? Like back in the day, it was like this shit. It was the graphics. They were like, whew, so good, so good. Like I think from our friends only like only one of them could run like Oblivion on high graphics. Yeah, but this was basically also like this open world exploration fantasy medieval thingy.
Oblivion?
Yeah.
Didn't you say it was Elder Scrolls? Why can't I talk today? Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, because it's the Elder Scrolls series.
Uh-huh.
And then there was like I don't know what the first ones were, but like there's like Morrowind.
Uh-huh.
Then came Oblivion.
Okay.
And then came Skyrim.
Oh.
And
Oh.
like Oblivion I haven't played that much because
Okay.
I was like kind of stupid back in the day, and the game was difficult. I feel like lots of bugs and shit. But
Is Skyrim the one with like I took an arrow to the knee meme?
yeah,
Is it also the one with the really shitty graphics?
yeah, and like I can remember on the E3 when they put out the first announcement trailer for that game and showing like gameplay or in-game footage, and everybody was like, holy shit, that game looks so good. Like those graphics, it's like real life, and yeah, like it looks like shit. Like
it runs like shit, right?
as well.
Like
I mean, it's I would say it's kind of stable, but like.
But
if
isn't
you
it
start
that
modding
game?
If
Yeah.
you start modding it, then you can fuck up the whole game, like the whole save files and everything.
But isn't it that game that's like? Am I confusing something? Is it that game where you like? The characters walk sideways and they say things that don't make sense. The one that everybody memes around. Like they walk through shit.
Yeah, like those are the NPCs. That's like yeah, inside joke or like the joke from the Elder Scrolls games because of the engine that the game is built on. So almost every NPC in that game acts like some sort of NPC basically. Like
really shitty.
Where there's dialogues in the worst situations, and yeah, but it adds up. Like it adds to the fun. Basically, this random stuff. Like there's a lot of random stuff happening. Like I don't know. One time, I think the first time, for example, in Skyrim, there's like next to the first city you go to, there's like this giant camp, and if you like go too near to them elephant pets, I don't know, then they smack you. And I don't know like if it was a bug or intended, but basically your character model would go flying, like it would like they would smack you into the ground, but at the same time your character would like skyrocket, like fly to fucking Narnia, and you're dead basically.
And what else did you but like even though it was a shitty game, it was fun, right? I mean,
no,
it's
like
like
we played a lot of Skyrim. Like everybody was playing Skyrim, and I mean there were a lot of achievements about like about playing the game long, right? But I mean the game is old now, and there's a lot of like I don't know. They keep rebranding Skyrim in some sort of remastered edition or like the Steam edition or like I don't know. Like some sort of new shit, Skyrim VR, and
oh boy.
I mean, it's not getting better, but yeah,
I feel
people
like
play that a lot.
it's like trying to resell the room. I think. Like
No, but it's like it's not that bad. Like you can play it. It's good for what it is, but it's overrated basically.
500 hours on what?
Skyrim.
On the oh wow.
I mean, I can look how much I have.
Mm.
Um, I don't even know if I do. I own the game. I only have 117 hours.
F dude.
But I think I had the game somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Like
On your old Steam account, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I get that. I definitely get that. Um. Speaking of Steam games, like talking about the present more. Let's talk about present games that we really, really, really enjoyed. So the first game for me that got me into PC gaming was The Binding of Isaac, and that game started at around I don't know 2011 I think, and it's a game I feel that everybody on Twitch knows, right? Because of the emote, the Isaac emote, right? Of there are two emotes I think. There is like the little angel Isaac, and then there's the Bible dump Isaac that's crying, which I think is like really cool that it has like, its own little stickers, right? But yeah, way before Twitch was a thing, I was obsessed with the Bible of, The Binding of Isaac. It was one of my favorite games as a teenager. I used to play when I was 15, 16. I used to play for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And I used to play it all the time. And it was the first dungeon crawler that I've ever played, right? And the thing that was fun to me, like I had a love hate relationship with the Binding of Isaac because like when I was younger, obviously the game was very very difficult for me, and like I don't know, I beat the mom, right? And to me that was the greatest miracle of all time. Like when I finally beat mom, because it was it was a hard game. But then I found out that this is not even the final boss. There's like 50 final bosses. And then you have to defeat Mom's heart, and you have to defeat Mom's heart 9 times. Then you unlock the womb. No, not the womb, but the fetus. And then the Mom's heart turns into the fetus, and you have to defeat the fetus. And after you defeat the fetus, you either go to defeat the devil, or yeah, you go to defeat the devil. That was the first game, right? And if you defeat the devil, that's the end. But the older the Binding of Isaac got, the more patches and the more evolved it got. They kept adding newer material, so much that in March, the last day of March, they're going to release a new DLC for the Binding of Isaac called, what was it called? It was called, where the fuck? Yeah, Repentance. That's the name of the new DLC that's going to come out. Supposed to come out the beginning of the year, but they postponed it sadly. Oh well. Anyway, so I'm really really excited to play that. Like, I feel like it's a very similar situation with you and D&D. No, not D&D. Sorry, with WoW, World of Warcraft. Right? It's like new game comes out, right, of World of Warcraft, like new expansion, like new stuff to play, but it's like, no, I'm not playing this anymore. I'm too old for this shit. I've played this game for too long. It's going to ruin my life, right? And I feel that with Binding of Isaac a little bit, but I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't even play video games that much anymore, so I am excited, and I probably will play Repentance, right? I mean, I own the game, so I'm guessing that the DLC is basically free. I think.
Not always.
Not always, right? But even if it's not, I'm willing to pay for it because it's like, I need that. I need to know, dude. Like, I miss that game. Like, but it's like, because I bought all of the expansions, right? Like, after the original Binding of Isaac, there was Wrath of the Lamb. After that, there was Rebirth. And then there was Afterbirth. And there was Afterbirth Plus. And now there's this, like, Repentance, I think. So, I played and defeated all the bosses, which include, first is Mom, then Mom's heart, fetus. Then after fetus, you can go either 3 ways. Either you defeat Isaac himself as an angel. Isaac is also a boss in the game. you either defeat him or you defeat what was the other, the lamb? Was it the lamb? No, the devil. Right? It was Isaac and Salvor the devil. Those are their equal footing bosses, right? And then after those, there's the higher bosses, which are the lamb and question mark, which are like question mark is like if you defeat Isaac, you get question mark. If you defeat Satan, you get the lamb, right? And then after the lamb, there is Mega Satan, which you can, if you defeat Mega Satan, that's like the true ending of the game, which is, I think, the rebirth ending. And then the afterbirth ending is like when you defeat the Husk, which is like this gigantic blue goop boy, which is one of the hardest bosses of the game. And then there's the hardest boss of the game, or second hardest boss of the game, which is fuck, what was his fucking name? Delirium. That's the name. And this fucker is very difficult because it's basically every single boss, all of them, all of the bosses into one boss. And because Delirium can turn into any boss he wants whenever he wants, any boss of the game he can turn into any boss of the game, which is like insane. So you have to be prepared for every single boss of the game at once. And yeah, it's a very difficult game. It's not for everybody. It's like it's something that you have to like basically train to get good at, right? And I've gotten in that stage where I'm good enough. I'm a pro at Binding of Isaac enough that like that I could I'm better than anyone that I know, but I'm not good enough to compete internationally, you know? Like I can't become like a professional Binding of Isaac player. I'm not that good. Like it's really depressing because like I remember it's like, "Oh, I'm so good at this game." Right? And then I go on YouTube and I see people that are 500 times better than me. Like they could do like speed runs of Binding of Isaac. They can do beat the hardest possible challenges in the game, and I'm just like, right? So like all of my pride that I had died, right? So what about you, Proxon? What's a game that you play today or played when you were a little bit younger that you adore?
Ori and the Blind Forest.
Ooh, Ori.
Yeah, but it's like very sad story, and I don't know. There's not much about to say. You have to play it yourself. It's kind of sad story, and it looks just gorgeous. It's like super beautiful game, super nice animation, super nice art, and what else? Super nice soundtrack. Yeah.
So what about that game was special to you?
The super nice art, animation,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
soundtrack.
yeah. But like
I don't know.
was it
It
like
was
a mega combo?
yeah, it was a mega super combo.
Uh-huh.
Like the game wasn't even that expensive because of like some wasn't early access. No, I don't know. It was like a small company basically making it, and I don't know. It was like just right for me. So I really like that one.
That's good. Are there any other games? Because you're
Overwatch.
between.
I played a lot of Overwatch. Shit game, dude. But like I love the shorts, the short movies, the cinematics they did for the characters are still doing. Like they are so good. Like I don't know. They tell like a little story, 10 minutes about the character, but it's not only about the character. Like it's I don't know. Like you could watch those short movies and take a message from it. Like but like you don't even have to play the game or know the characters to see what's happening, and it's something really nice to watch, and everybody should check it out. Um, like everybody should appreciate like the work that the animators at Blizzard do, because that those short animations are like on Pixar or Disney level, so those are really good.
I see. Do you recommend a specific one of those stories?
I really like The Last Bastion, and what was the name of the other? I think Honor and Glory, or the other way around, Glory and Honor. And what was the other one called? I think the Two Dragons or something like that. I don't
Mhm.
remember.
I see.
But those are like the best ones they have. But all of them are as great.
Mhm. Like between the both of us, I feel like you've always been a gamer, right? You between the both of us, you're the biggest gamer between us.
No,
Like you even agree?
no.
Definitely, right? Because in my case, I used to game a lot as a child, but the older I got, the more detached I got from video games because consoles were expensive, and I never bought.
Nobody plays on console.
Tell that to Nintendo, dude. Like they're a fucking monopoly, dude. Anyway, so I used to be a console person. Like I bought the Game Boy Advance when I was younger, right? I used to play on that a lot, and I was obsessed with having a Nintendo DS, but nevertheless, I never got one. I had a PSP for a while, so I was always a console girl playing indie games. What?
PSP, yeah, that reminds me of Monster Hunter. That's the shit.
Oh
That's
no.
so good. Like, like me, my brother, and friends, like we're all addicted to Monster Hunter as well, right?
What's so great about
I
Monster
don't know.
Hunter?
You're this dude. You hunt down those dragon creatures, and then you build like new armor out of their, I don't know, materials, and then you go hunt the next creature.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it very artsy, or is it
Um,
just? Is there any philosophy in it? Any deep
no, it
messages?
has a great soundtrack.
It's a beautiful soundtrack.
Yes.
Like, what is like the style of music in the soundtrack? Is it Celtic, Nordic, fantasy?
It's fantasy, but also like it gives like this theme of adventure. This like going on, like, yeah, going out into the world and exploring and I don't know, like I would say it. I would put it with like Ghibli soundtracks
Mhm.
on one
Mhm.
spot.
Yeah, Ghibli soundtrack. We are actually gonna get into anime in a bit after we're done with like gaming content, right? All right, then I will talk about one game. My last game on my there are two games, right? One that I'm gonna touch on shortly because I feel like I have nothing else to say about it that already hasn't been said, and I feel like there are even bigger fans of this game than I am. But it really meant a lot to me, and that was Undertale. And Undertale to me, I was really big into the fandom of Undertale when I was in 2015, right when the game came out, and I was a humongous fan of Undertale for at least 2 years. I used to watch a lot of dubs of comic books of Undertale. Um, and I used to, like play the game over and over. And to me, Undertale, I feel like is a game that has impacted so many people because it has taught so many people that mercy is always the right answer, and that no matter what, you should be kind and you should have mercy on people and should be understanding and open minded, and that everybody, even the most monstrous people have good in them. Um, in one sense, I don't believe that you can reach that good. Not everybody is able to reach the good in people. I do believe that, but I do believe that everybody has good in them. Everybody. Like there is no one that is 100% psychotic monster. Even the greatest and worst psychopaths of all time had some good in them. So I don't know. It was like a really good story for me to see that even the worst people can have goodness and kindness, and that you should always show people mercy and be kind to people, and not kill anybody. Like don't kill. Like it's like because the beginning of the story is like the evil characters says always it's kill or be killed in this world, right? But it's like you could also be like, don't kill and don't be killed, right? I mean, Don't let yourself be killed, but don't kill either. You can defend yourself, but you don't need to kill anybody. You can talk your way through things. You can communicate, and that way you can create peace. Like some Gandhi shit or something. Even if it sounds corny. And yeah, I really love Undertale. It's a wonderful story that I'll keep with my heart for the rest of my life. And the last game that I want to talk about is a fucking. It's an otome game. For those who don't know, an otome game is. Otome translates to fair maiden game, right? Which means it's like a role play game. It's like a dating sim for girls. Otome is like, I think, Korean for fair maiden, right? Fabio, you took Korean classes. Do you know what otome means? Is that true? Does it mean fair maiden?
I have no idea.
So you never heard the word otome
No.
before? Well, from what I know, it means fair maiden, right? Because like these boys in these dating sims, they treat you like a queen, right? It's like dating sims is like, oh, they're always in love with the MC for no reason. But this otome was really important to me because I played it in a time when I was very, very lonely, and I needed friends. I needed something to make me feel special. I know it sounds a little bit sad, but yeah, I think we all have that show at one point, right? Or game or whatever. And this otome is called Mystic Messenger. So for those who don't know, Mystic Messenger is a game where you play on your phone, only on your phone. You can only play this game on your phone. Because it takes place in real time, right? If it's 7:15 a.m. in the game, it is 7:15 a.m. in real life. And you have you get stuck in this apartment, and you have to get some guests for a party that's like an organization for charity at the end of 11 days. And a bunch of shit happens in those 11 days depending on what route you take. You have 5 characters, like 2 men and 1 woman, and you have to like date, like you have to groom these 4 guys or this girl. And like every story has their background and their character and their personality. And I think it's really interesting because it's a game that shows you that on the surface people look like a certain way, but once you get to know a person, you find out the most fucked up things about them, the deepest secrets. Like somebody can look like perfect, right? They could be like this perfect Korean actor and dancer and singer. They look like a perfect like human being that is a fucking acting god and is just a bundle of perfection shit. But then you found out that he actually has a fucked up past and is filled with insecurities. Or you have my favorite character, which is Yoo Song Kim, which is just an ordinary college student, right? He loves playing League of Legends, or how it's named in the game, lol, which is like a game for lonely losers or something like that. That's what they call it. Who's just an ordinary college student that likes playing lol. And is also this like bundle of joy. He's cinnamon baby, cinnamon roll. But then you find out that he actually has a trauma because his cousin died, and he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing with his life. And that was something that I could really, really relate to when I played that game for the first time. Like, I wasn't in college, but I was definitely in a place where I was like, what the fuck am I doing with my life, right? And having a person that was my age, that we had all these things in common, that we were both nerds, and we were both like smart people that, I don't know, like they just weren't reaching their full potential because of traumas of losing someone they loved. In my case, it was my dad. And yeah, I fell in love with this character. Like, I deeply loved this character more than any other character besides Danny Phantom, of course. And that was it really changed my life. It made me feel like I wasn't alone. It made me feel full. It made me feel happy. And yeah, it was someone that I really, really cherished. But what about you? What are the games that you played today that are special like that? Do you have any games for you like game characters or that are special like that for you?
No.
Not like they don't have to be like you don't have to be like as emotionally attached to them as I am, but they could just be your waifu or something.
No.
All right. All right. So no character like that. Um. All right. Is there any other games that you want to talk about that you think are like the shit that they're the Gucci games?
Mm, I mean, back in the day, there was like this. There was only a beta of this game, right? Oh, there was like Avatar: The Last Airbender game. Where
There
you,
was.
yeah, there was a game out that you could like pick one of the elements, like from the Four Nations, right? And
Speaking, sorry to interrupt you, but speaking of Avatar, I completely forgot to tell you. Like, I know you love Avatar, so why didn't you talk about like in general what you like about it?
I don't know. Um, because it's a great story, okay?
It's a
just
great story,
it's
woman.
just it's good. No, and like I think it was a browser game. I'm not sure. I was really scuffed, but also you could like you could make your own character and like it was PvP, so you would battle other players in an arena, and you had like certain uh, 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 abilities, like and it was super fun. But I don't know what happened to that game. Like
Mhm.
I wish it came out, or I don't know. Never heard of that one again.
Mhm.
But they, but on Steam there was like another one about Korra,
Mhm.
Legend of Korra. Um, yeah, I played that one. Was great, but yeah, it was more story driven and like um, how do you say it? Like there wasn't like an open world or anything about like where you could explore, just the story.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And speaking of Avatar, we can talk about movies a little bit. Do you want to talk about movies that have like maybe CGI or are there animated films that you really really like?
Mm, I mean, I really liked Avatar. James Cameron's Avatar. I mean, the story is a bit like a cliche, right?
Mhm.
But I feel like the world itself and the characters like are very immersive, and I don't know, like I really like it. To think about it, that there could be something, a place like that out there, right?
Mhm.
And yeah.
Mhm. All right. Um. So I think that we're going to be closing off the podcast, our first episode. Is there any other game or animation piece of art that you would like to talk about that maybe you forgot about that you would like to talk about? Fate, maybe. You're a really big fan of Fate. You want to talk about that?
Mm, I mean, Fate is great. It might be confusing and all that, but like art wise, it's not like super nice, right?
Uh huh. You
I
don't think
feel
it looks good?
it does, but like I mean, especially like for example, Unlimited Blade Works are like the big movies from Fate.
Uh huh.
Those are like 60 FPS animated movies. Those like I think those are like the best animated anime movies have ever seen. Like
Mhm.
the quality is like really good. I mean, they probably were extremely expensive movies. Also, the franchise is pretty big, so
Mhm.
obviously. But another movie that came to my mind is
Which one?
Redline.
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 What was that one
It's
about?
about it's like a racing anime movie.
Right.
It's like original. It's
Mhm.
like it's the only media thingy out there of that story. And I mean, I'm not into racing, but
Mhm.
that movie, like, I love it. I love that movie. Um,
Mhm.
it's just it's like all hand animated, and it's like I don't
Mhm.
know. It's like the work then that they put into that movie, like you can see it, and it's like also really good directed with like the soundtrack and everything, like it perfectly. Like for example, they change. There's like the protagonist, and there's like this other character, female character, and for example, if they switch scenes in between those characters, like because it's a racing anime, right? So it's like the dude is in his car, then the music has like a certain beat, and then it switches to this girl character, and then it has a different melody to it, but it doesn't fall apart in a sense. Like the soundtrack is one, like it fits together everything, right? But it still differentiates from the soundtrack, like to the character. So it's, I don't know, it's like a masterpiece, I feel like, and it's sad to see that movie. It was like, I think, long time production. I think 7 years. The studio almost went bankrupt, but they made it. But it's like it's
Which
not.
studio?
I think it's Madhouse or something.
Madhouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
They almost died because of that movie.
Damn.
And it's not being appreciated in movie. Like it's somehow people didn't see it. I think it came out while something else came out. I don't remember. Something bigger came out, and like nobody gave a shit about that one. And it's underappreciated, and you should check it out. It's like great movie, even if you're not into racing. Yeah, I mean, I'm not into racing, but I really like that movie.
Yeah, that's really really cool. That you were talking about movies, right? Because that were underappreciated because they failed, right? They flopped. That reminds me of Atlantis, the movie, the Disney movies Atlantis, you know, The Lost Empire, and Treasure Planet, which we have seen together, right? And I really really love Treasure Planet. Like it's one of my, to me, it's like one of my favorite movies animated of all time. Even though they did horrible at the box office, like they really really did really bad at the box office. Especially Treasure Planet was one of Disney's last 2D animated movies, but even though it was a masterpiece, but the reason why it did so bad was not because of the movie, because the movie's amazing. Sorry. The reason why it did so bad was because the reason why it did so bad was because Disney didn't believe in the project. They didn't believe in the project, which means they didn't advertise it correctly. They advertised it like whatever, right? And that's why that project did so badly. They did so poorly. And I think that's just so sad that they didn't believe in the project from the start, because the directors that made that movie, they put so much love into the design, the characters, the animation, the story. It was perfect. It was a perfect movie. The only thing that was bad about this movie was its motherfucking Jar Jar Binks character, which was a robot that shows up in the last third. And one of the theories that why this movie flopped was because of the robot, right? Like everybody hated that robot. They thought that he was annoying, obnoxious, and I agreed. He was basically like a Jar Jar Binks character. More useful than Jar Jar Binks. But it was still a super shitty character that, like, was a garbage character, right? And they used that robot in that advertisement, which means that children were like, oh, this guy looks annoying. So it flopped. Even children saw that it was an annoying robot. And what did you think of the movie?
I didn't like it.
What? What? Excuse me? What
No.
do you mean?
I mean, it was fine, but like you said, like the annoying character was annoying.
Yeah, but if you take off the annoying character, the rest of it is a great film.
Yeah.
But you think that the robot ruined it for you?
No. I just said it to mess with you.
God damn it. God damn it, Proxan. Yeah, but it was a great movie. Right. Just kidding.
Right.
Right. No, but like I feel like it's good that you said that, because I feel like because of that damn annoying character, it was a factor that annoyed people so much that it could have ruined the movie for a lot of people, and maybe that's also why it flopped, right? It was not just the advertising of using the robot too much in advertising, it was the having the robot itself, right?
Yeah.
Atlantis: The Lost Empire was also a movie that I thought was amazing, and I feel like it's such an underrated movie. I loved the world of Atlantis. I thought it was beautiful. I wanted to fucking live there, dude. Like, I feel like it would be such a good movie to actually have a live action of, because the movie was, we saw very small glimpses of the world of Atlantis: The Lost Empire, but what we saw was so beautiful. It was so creative. I just loved it so much. I wish we could have seen more of the world. I think that would have been like great. Do you have any thoughts on that movie?
Mm, I mean, I didn't like the whole um, tech stuff too much.
Really? What? Why?
I don't know. I just didn't like it.
I think you don't like sci-fi that much in general, right?
Yeah, but like the whole steampunk business.
You don't. Yeah, you're not a fan of it. Not. But is it because of the art, or is it
No,
for
in
another?
general. Like for example, Hades, like the dungeon crawler game. It's
Uh-huh.
a super nice game. It's great, but I hate the fact like some levels have like this gears and like industrial design. I don't like it.
You
So
don't
I
like
don't
that
like I don't
aesthetic.
like it as the aesthetic at all. So
Is there a specific reason, or is
no,
just
I just
because?
don't like it.
Yeah, I get that. I like a little bit of cyberpunk in my content, but not overdoing it. For example, if you're going to throw a city that is like gray and it's just pure technology filled, great, polluted cyberpunk, like,
Cyberpunk or
not,
Ghost
not,
in
not,
the Shell.
yeah, Ghost in the Shell. I have very controversial opinions about Ghost in the Shell. I actually I didn't get into it because I thought it was too much cyberpunk for me. Like, if you like, there are elements of cyberpunk that I love, that I find very aesthetically pleasing, beautiful. Like, I like gears. Like, I like the aesthetic of gears, but it has to be put in a good
No,
way.
like no. Let's say for me, it's like I don't like steampunk. I don't like this. I don't know, like this old modern technique, right? It's
Uh huh. Like Alita Battle Angel. What did you
yeah,
think?
I love it because
Uh-huh.
that's cyberpunk. That's
Uh-huh.
like
Oh,
like
yeah.
cyberpunk 2077 or like
Uh huh.
Ghost in the Shell.
Uh huh.
Like
Uh-huh.
I love this kind of punk.
Okay, steampunk is like the dirty kind of punk, right?
Not both can be dirty, but
Uh-huh.
steampunk is like
But it has
it's
kind
not
of
a-
like, it's like
it's the same kind. They're both, because it's punk. It's both like
uh-huh.
kinda dirty and like
Mhm.
shitty.
Mhm.
But steampunk has like those old
Machines and
styles, old
stuff.
machines, like
Uh-huh.
steam machines.
Yes,
like,
yes.
like old London styles.
Uh-huh.
Like those like uh, character designs, coats, and like those top hats and shit. And like I don't like that too much.
Okay.
But I like this hyper tech cyberpunk stuff.
Oh,
That's
right. Yeah, there's like a fine line there, right? Now, in my case, I like steampunk a little bit. It depends, though. It has to be done right. There is no specific science that comes with me to like steampunk, but I don't hate it like you do, right? There is parts of it that I like, right? But I can't really think of them right now. There's like anime, a lot of anime that I feel have inspired me personally, that I absolutely adore. But maybe we can make that into our own episode, with like a separate episode. What do you think?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no can do that.
yeah, okay. So I guess we're gonna end this episode here. Thank you all so much for tuning in to our first ever episode of the L.A.I.N podcast.
Yeah.
I really, it was fun. Like, it was really interesting experience. First time that I've streamed something. So yeah, thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope that you liked it as well, and that you will join us next time. So I've been your host, Adara.
And I've been your co-host Proxen.
And we will see you next time, next Friday, same time. So it would be 9 p.m. European time, and 12 p.m. Western Standard Time. So we will see you next week with another episode. All right. So talk to you guys later. I hope to see you there. And yeah, Bye bye.
Bye.